welcome to October 4th, day 4 of Vlogtober. My name is Tracy and I am the podcaster of Knitting on the Float. And today I am taking you back in time to August, and I have had some footage of our travels this summer. We traveled from Vancouver to Florida, from Florida up to Toronto, and then Toronto via Kentucky back to Vancouver again. So I have a lot of travel footage, basically one full memory card and probably at least more than a half of a memory card full of footage. And rather than do a podcast off the float, I want to just do a revisit. So instead of Vlogtober, we're going back to Vlogust, and today's footage is going to be from Idaho to Amarillo, Texas. So we're going to go to Route 66, and I hope that you enjoy all the different landscapes that you will see. Still a bit tired from yesterday driving out to Langley to go look at motorcycles. I'm not quite sure how I feel about the whole motorcycle thing. Greg, motorcycles make him very, very happy, and well, they make me a little bit leery, and I certainly don't want to be driving a motorcycle. I guess that's a tale for another day. I want Greg to be happy, so I know that him getting a larger motorcycle and having the ability to take us on nicer road trips is something he's been wanting to do and looking forward to. So trying to support his joy. Anyway, today we are going to travel to Route 66. It is a very long vlog, but I was hoping to go from home to Florida, but it was about 2 hours of footage, so I'm just gonna go here to Amarillo, Texas, and today that's far enough. I hope you enjoy the footage that I'm about to share. We are on day 2 of our road trip, and Greg, what state are we in?
Idaho,
and there is a lot of grassland around, lots of hills, and the landscape is quite beautiful actually, even though it's a lot of yellow and green. I'll try and zoom you in so you can see out the window here. And Nathaniel's tired. He's having a little bit of a sleep. Sleepy boy. Yesterday we drove through Washington after we left Canada, Washington State, and then we went briefly through Oregon, and then last night we stayed near Boise, Idaho. And today we are on our way to Wyoming, and we're going to stay in a place called Laramie. There's some cows, and you can tell where they've been irrigating because it is nice bright green, and I believe these are cornfields because we're coming into corn season, and corn season is always very, very yummy. Anyway, that is our current view as we drive diagonally across America to get to the Sunshine State. Good morning. We are on day 2 of our road trip across the United States. We're going diagonally from Vancouver down to Orlando, Florida, and we have decided to go. Yesterday we drove through Washington State, a little bit of Oregon, and then into Idaho. We stayed in Boise, Idaho, and today we are driving through Idaho to Wyoming, and we're going to stay in Wyoming tonight, but I thought I would share with you some of the scenery that I'm seeing. So I'm going to turn the camera around. There's a train just about to go over top of the overpass in front of us, and it is somewhat hilly but very grassy lands. There's a train overhead. I don't know how all these trains get covered in graffiti. I guess they must stop too long to let that happen. Anyway, this is Idaho, and it's a mix of rocks, hills, lots of grasses. We've seen, okay, I'm going to try and remember this from, I called them cows, but I believe Greg corrected me and said cattle. Is that right? When we're going across, if they're beef cattle. From when we went across the country, across Canada last year, I got all the tutelage on cows and steers and heifers, and I can't remember them all, but I remember cattle and cows, and I don't want to be corrected today. It's still too early. There's a horse up on the hill. There's a couple of horses up there. I was wondering yesterday about wild horses, if there are many out in this area. Anyway, this is Idaho. The sign says Bliss is 10 miles away, so if you think crafting is in Bliss or Bliss is crafting, you are wrong. Bliss is in Idaho. Who knew? Greg has a story. I was just mentioning about wild horses, and he was speaking with the hotel clerk, and what did she say?
He said that there are still many wild horses, and they round them up periodically after they take a count to see how many they can spare from the wild, and they break them in for domestic usage. So it's called the Mustang Roundup.
The Mustang Roundup. We have just pulled off at a rest stop in Idaho. And if these cars look like they're going by fast, they are. The posted speed limit just blew me away yesterday. I've never seen anything like it. 80 miles per hour is the posted speed limit. So we get to drive fast. It is very gray today. There's been a few drops of rain, but this is Idaho. One of the rest stops in Idaho. One of the things Greg was reading at the rest stop is about the Oregon Trail, and yesterday we were on the Oregon Trail, and what did they have to say?
Well, we're not far from the actual Oregon Trail and the rest stops that the people made as they went across the country, and there are many big rocks for people sign their names on, but there's still a few names that can be read, but many of them have been eroded by the elements.
Yes, like a little bit of rain today. Anyway, the Oregon Trail is not just a computer game where, you know, you might get dysentery and die. It was a real thing. And it's kind of, it was neat yesterday on the highway when we were going up and down, and I thought, my goodness, what a haul that would have been. We are getting back on the road, and I just wanted to share with you what I'm working on right now. And I am working on my 2nd Avenue shawl. I have cast on, and I'm just a couple of rows in, literally the cast on in 2 rows. And I've got my colors here, so let's see if I can remember them all. This one, oh, I'm gonna have to cheat. Dreamy. This one is Dreamy. It really is. I cast on with Golden Delicious. These are all plucky yarns. This one is called Ogre because it's monstrous. I love it. Peony. I love peonies. Pink and green. And this one is called Burlap. So these are the 5 colors that I will be using to knit up my 2nd Avenue wrap, and that is a pattern. I think it's by Amy Miller. Yep, Amy Miller. And I'll just sort of pull up what the picture looks like right there. And soon this bag, the contents of this bag, will look similar to that, but I've got a lot of knitting ahead of me. One more thing about Idaho, and we are on this stretch where it gets very, very open. Here's Bliss. Bliss is the next 2 exits. So we are now in Bliss, or almost. And one thing about Idaho, it has lots of windy spots, and they have lots of wind turbines. And earlier this morning, as we were driving, there was one of the big wide load trucks, and it had one of the propeller pieces on of one of these wind turbines. So somewhere else on the road there are 2 more trucks that have the other 2 pieces, and then the rest of the base. Anyway, we are on the road again. We are continuing our drive through Idaho, and there's a mountain in the distance there that doesn't want to focus. It's looking quite pretty. And I was just old schooling it with the road atlas. Do I dare tell you this one is from 2006, but it's in the car with us because old schooling it by maps is good. Today we are going to be doing another 3-state day. So we started off in Idaho. We will soon be going into Utah, and then we will go over into Wyoming. And I just thought I would share a quick view before we cross into Utah. It is later in the afternoon on day 2. It's actually early afternoon, day 2. And we have crossed a state border. We are now in Utah. And on this side I have a very hilly mountain. I don't know if it's a hill or a mountain. It is now sunny out, which is nice. And this is our current view. This all used to be covered in water many, 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 many moons ago. And it is now land with cows and crops, surrounded by lots of hills and mountains, and lots of mountains in the distance. We will be heading south and then turning towards Wyoming in a little while. Over to our right is Great Salt Lake. I didn't actually realize that we would be seeing this today. This is one of the bays off of Salt Lake, Great Salt Lake, and just trying to look at the name of it, but it does not want to show me on our satellite system. Great Salt Lake is just on the other side of where those poles are, and I'm not sure if you can see it or not, just over the top of the mound. I didn't realize we would actually be coming that close because we are not going to Salt Lake City, but there it is in the distance, and I think it was Willard Bay that there's a state park there, but there is the lake. We're a little bit higher, so hopefully you can see that, and then it carries over and across, and I'm not sure whether we'll come up beside it again, but if we don't, there is Great Salt Lake. We are still in Utah, and we are just turning towards Wyoming and heading towards Cheyenne, and just thought I would give you a quick view. We're very close to the Wyoming border, maybe about 10 miles or so. There is a train delivering goods, maybe grains, because it's coming up on harvest time. We have just turned towards going to Cheyenne and wanted to share these rock formations with you in Utah. really neat. And there was a really long train that just went by as well. But red rock and definitely a very interesting landscape through Utah. Some of the hills have letters on them, so big M's, and when we stopped to get gas, I saw when it said B, and then another hill said I, and I was looking for NGO. Bingo was his name-o, but I didn't find those. I just saw a bunch of other letters on hills, and I wondered what they were all about. Definitely beautiful landscape as we continue. Right now we are going a little bit northeast, which sounds a bit counterintuitive. We've got to go northeast to continue east to then go southeast. But we will get there. Meantime, views. Lots of beautiful views. We are coming up to the Wyoming border. We're still a little bit away, but we are slowly making our way to the next state. And I'm so interested in all the different colors. You know, you've got red rocks in here, but there's also some yellow stones in there and white stones. Quite an interesting landscape. Greg said earlier it's definitely not a boring drive. I saw something up on the hill a few moments ago, but I couldn't tell what it was, and I didn't have enough time to grab the binoculars. I wondered if it was a cow or a bear. I don't think it's a bear, but it was moving fairly quickly. But it was like a dark color. Maybe it was a bison. They have bison maybe up in the hills here?
Historically, but I don't know if they have any now.
Yeah, hard to know. Anyway, coming up to Wyoming, I'm wanting to capture the sign because I've missed all the other state crossings. Yesterday I was a bit tired and rain coming out of nowhere. A moment ago it was sunny, now we're hitting the rain. Anyway, yesterday I was a little bit tired and I wasn't quite feeling like grabbing the camera and recording all of the different states. So I did miss the Oregon Trail and the green lushness of Washington State. But today I've been a little bit more on the ball. Anyway, coming up on Wyoming, and maybe we will capture that Welcome to Wyoming sign. We are still looking for the Welcome to Wyoming sign, but I'm amazed that in a moment the landscape has changed immensely. We are now looking more like rolling grassy fields. There's some cattle over to the side on my right and a train on the left there. That looks like it's coal. Do they do coal mining here still?
Probably.
Wow. So,
I'm trying to reduce it.
yeah. And we're now, there's still some of those red hills, but it's definitely a lot more arable land. And the trains that I've seen yesterday and today have been long. I just looked on the navigation and we are coming up on the state line. So, port of entry, people who are carrying livestock have to stop. Watercraft, if you've got a canoe or a kayak or any other boat, you've got to stop and get it checked as well, because we are about to leave Utah and about to enter Wyoming. So, in 2 miles, we're 2 miles off. We are just coming up to the state line, and the landscape definitely looks a little bit different. We still are on the Utah side, but getting all of our warnings about boats and livestock, things like that, and we are just approaching the state border. We should hopefully see a welcome to Wyoming sign. People on the other side are getting the welcome to Utah sign. So, looks like on my sat nav, we're just crossing the border right now, although it hasn't changed from, oh, now we are in Wyoming, so we've officially switched states, and I'm looking for one of those welcome signs. There is the port of entry building for people carrying loads and boats and things like that that need to get things changed. And here is the welcome to Wyoming sign just to my right here. And that's what it says, welcome to Wyoming. Picture of a cowboy riding a horse. I was talking about letters on the hills, and here's an E. We've been seeing lots of these letters. I'm not sure what that's about. I'll have to look it up. Straight ahead, we've got a beautiful view, and then there are lots of wind turbines up on the hill. Getting a lot of wind power today. There have been a few signs for Yellowstone National Park, but we're not going that exit. We're going to go across to Cheyenne, and then we're going to go down through Texas. But just a quick look at the view we're seeing right now as we continue our journey. Beautiful blue skies. I'll just give you a side view. Mountains in the distance. I think Yellowstone and Taton are both that way, down south. The landscape changes so much, I have to pull the camera out every few moments to share it with you. And way off in the distance are mountains, but just such a varied landscape. I was just talking to Greg about how it's hard to put the camera down because the landscape changes so much, and I want to share it all. And here again we have another looking landscape where a few moments ago there was a lot of farms and cattle. Now up ahead it's very rocky looking. We were looking at the map as well, and we are just south of the western Saskatchewan border, and then we were looking ahead to tomorrow, and I think we've got 4 states tomorrow. So we will be staying in Wyoming tonight, and then I believe we go through Colorado. So tomorrow will be Wyoming, Colorado. I think we go through a corner of New Mexico, and then we go into Texas, and we're aiming to get to Amarillo. Anyway, this is current view. And again, I'll put the camera away and the landscape will change. No sooner do I put the camera away, but I have to pull it out again. This is what we're passing. It's kind of like a sand, but like a dried up hard sand. And oh, look at this, there's little formations at the top, and there's lots of greeny bits of, I don't know whether it's like a salt outside a few minutes ago, there was some fencing, and I think that's probably to reduce the blowing sand, and then in the wintertime, the blowing snow. And yeah, more of these sandy areas, and these are the fences that I'm talking about that they've got along the center part here that probably help with the driving conditions for people as they are going across, especially in the winter. Anyway, definitely an interesting looking landscape. I was talking about being south of Saskatchewan, sort of on the western border. We are also one state south of that. So we have Montana is south of Saskatchewan, and then we are now in Wyoming. So we are quite a bit south of Saskatchewan, but I had confused Greg there. Anyway, that is our current view, and I wanted to share with you my progress on my 2nd Avenue wrap, and I'll zoom out. So I don't know how I'm getting anything done on this because I'm too busy grabbing the camera and taking video. I've got the scalloped edge done in the Golden Delicious that I cast on this morning, and then I have started the next section using peony, and that's this lovely pink and green. Kind of reminds me of watermelon. But I keep getting distracted by the views. Just want to share with you, on top of this hill here, there is an American flag flying. We've seen a few hilly mountains that have flags. A few moments ago, I wish I had had the camera out because I looked in the field and I saw 6 or 7 horses, and the land looked kind of like that. So Greg and I determined that they were probably wild horses because, as Greg said, any farmer in their right mind would probably not want to try and contain them because it's not really an easy land to keep horses contained. But I'm sure there's somebody who probably can do it.
There's just not enough food.
Not enough food, not enough gas to go and round them up. But anyway, that is current view. No horses though, at least here. I just saw a sign that says Flaming Gorge, and yeah, the tops of these rocks, I guess, kind of look like flames over top of the bottom. There's also some whitewater rafting that happens near here. We're right beside the Green River, right alongside the highway. But again, a whole other landscape to look at. Up on the hill over there, there's a G and an R. I gotta look that up. Anyway, here we are. And more views. Lots more views. Flaming Gorge National Recreation Area. We are about to go through a tunnel. Tunnels are always fun, aren't they?
That's where the dirt bikes go up.
Dirt bikes go up the hill and over the top. This is just a short tunnel, but we'll go through the tunnel together because they're always kind of fun. Whee! And there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it is not a train. I do have to say, the trains that I've been seeing have been super, super long. And I'm thinking that, oh my goodness. Oh, there's a train yard down there, so that's part of why I guess there's been so many trains. But come out the other side to this gorgeous view. If you want to adopt a highway, there is lot a lot of highway to be adopted through Wyoming. And there's another long, long train. Not sure if that one's moving or not. Looks like it's not. And there's the Green River. Definitely not a boring drive today. I feel like I'm on the animated set or the unanimated set of Cars, the movie, and we've actually, we're going back into our own side of the highway now. We had been going through a construction zone where they're resurfacing the highway behind us. So we've now just switched out to double lanes instead of single with two-way traffic. I was thinking off to the sides of the roads here are lots of tumbleweed, and I was just recalling when we were driving west to move from Toronto to Vancouver, and I was filming that I was chasing the tumbleweeds. I was wanting to catch a tumbleweed, and this is what the tumbleweeds look like during the summer when they are still growing, and then we saw them in October when they had become real tumbleweeds. But lots of tumbleweeds around here. This must be so much fun in the fall to chase the tumbleweeds. Across the way there are several horses. I'm guessing those are wild horses because it's not farmland, and I've seen that's the third grouping of horses just on the side that I've seen. So about 5 or 6 there, and saw a deer earlier as well. But gotta have that camera ready when I see things like that. Way in the fields across the way I see 2 brown dots, and I think those are likely wild horses as well, though it is hard to tell from here. Yeah, I think they're just 2 wild horses in the field over there, and I don't believe this is farmland that is being, I don't know how to word that, I guess actively managed? Does that sound about right, Greg? So anyway, we're into flat prairie-like land, and it is a little bit more lush than a little bit ago, so I have been seeing a little more wildlife. We are just coming up on Continental Divide Road, and I remember when we were driving, it's right down there, Continental Divide Road, and it doesn't look like it goes very far, but when we were going across the country from Toronto out west, we passed the Continental Divide in the mountains, and that's where, when you are sort of standing there, the water starts to flow different directions. One goes north, one goes west, and one goes east, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, down here it's either going to go west or east.
Yeah.
It's not going to go north. It's
not going north, maybe south, but definitely west or east. Though I don't see much water around here. Right down in the little bit there, I think there's some wild horses. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 that I can definitely make out, and then there might be 2 more. But yeah, I think those are wild horses there off to my right. And the scenery as we continue. We're still a couple hours away from our pit stop for the night. And I think we will definitely be ready for a rest at Laramie. Good morning from, oh my goodness, where are we?
Laramie.
Laramie and what state? Wyoming. It is early. And today we are heading to Amarillo, Texas. I do know that because I just put it in the satellite navigation. And we are on our way. It is 6:38 and we have a time change today as well. And it is a bright, sunny day so far. We'll see what the weather brings us. And we are off faster than a herd of turtles today. You can see the sun is just coming up as we leave Laramie and head towards Cheyenne. And today is a 4-state day, so we will be going from Wyoming into Colorado. Then we will briefly touch New Mexico before getting to Texas, and we'll be staying in Texas tonight. And we are just big drive ahead of us. I did see a few deer off the road, so we'll need to be careful of animals as we continue on our way because they like these early mornings. Soon that sun will come up high in the sky, but for now it's behind the trees having a quiet rise and shine. Just approaching Cheyenne, but where we are, there are wind turbines as far as the eye can see, and as we come up onto the highway, they're even on the other side of the highway, way across the way. In a few moments, I'll feel like I'm surrounded 360 by wind turbines, but we're definitely using lots of wind power here. Oh, there's a couple deer just over the hill there. I don't know if you can see them, but just there they are. Little family. And there's another one. So deer and turbines. It's a good combination. We are approaching the state line and coming up on Colorado, and here we are. Welcome to colorful Colorado. So bye-bye Wyoming, hello Colorado, and I see lots of mountains in the distance here. So day 3 traveling, and I've lost count of how many states we've been in. We're going towards Denver today, and then down towards Amarillo, where I'm going to look for Route 66. We are about an hour outside of Denver, and beautiful mountains on my right, and road in front. A little bouncy, but for the most part, pretty flat. There's the Budweiser brewery to my right as well. Anyway, we are noticing that there are some suburbs around here, so I guess it takes about an hour to get to Denver. There's lots of fields. There were some new build houses just a little bit back, and that is what the situation is looking like now. It is 20 to 8 in the morning. I would love a cup of proper tea, so I'm keeping my eye out for a Starbucks because there's only 2 places that I can find make a consistent cup of tea. Tim Hortons, which we are not likely to find around here, and Starbucks. So I think I need to splurge. I wish this camera could do a really super zoom In the distance, I'm seeing a hot air balloon, I believe, up in the sky. So that's making me think of Sharon, who is the podcaster of the Knitting Project. And I know she and her husband enjoy hot air ballooning. So, hi Sharon, here's a hot air balloon far, far in the distance. Hope you can see it. There, way across, I believe it is a hot air balloon. Greg has seen it as well, and just going for a float up there, and it is solo. I hope you're able to see it. Behind the trees, and now out in the clear. I am going to say driving through Denver has been a little bit stressful. There's been a lot of construction, plus I guess it was rush hour, and my shoulders were around my ears pretty much the entire time. So anyway, there is that hot air balloon, and someone's getting a beautiful view of the Denver area. I am a super happy camper right now because we've just stopped at Starbucks, and I also asked if they would fill up my travel mug with hot water. And I have brought my own Marks & Spencer tea, not because I'm being cheap, I actually brought a whole box with me, but because I have my preferences and I like a good cup of tea. So I'm going to put my tea bag in here, and then I will be ready for the day. So definitely a happy camper. I'm going to say it's kind of ironic because I know I told you we were going camping when we were going to Disney. The day before we left, we changed our mind. We were going to stay at one of the hotels, but Nathaniel doesn't know yet. I just told him I ordered a new tent and sleeping bags and had it sent to Isaac, but no camping gear in the back. But shh, don't tell him. Also, before I make my extra cup of tea, I will show you my progress so far on my 2nd Avenue wrap. I am using peony, this gorgeous pink and green, and I am just about finished the 2nd section. I've got one more row to do, one wrong side row, and then I'm going to start doing striping. So here is my scalloped edge, and I've knit almost 5 inches of peony, and then I will be introducing a new color and doing striping, I think with peony, but of course I need to check the pattern. But good progress, and it's been a little bit relaxing having this while driving towards Denver. We're still not quite at Denver, but just driving in the Denver area has been a bit stressful today, but glad to have been able to stop, get some input of some caffeine, and have a little bit of a bathroom break too. So input and output, important things when you're traveling. Here we are just approaching Denver. You can see the skyline in the background. And you're going to the left, Greg. We're just doing an interchange. No, stay in this lane because, oh yeah, sorry, yeah, you need to switch over. A little bit crazy. There we go. We're on the lane. We're in the lane we need to be in, and we are just going over top of the freeway. And hopefully in a moment I'll get a nice view of the skyline for you. Go-karting over there. Oh, they've got that netting up, so I can't quite see it yet. But oh, there we go. Beyond. There is Denver in the background.
Proceed on by 270 East.
And we're going 270 East this way towards New Mexico is our next state. Out to my left is Denver, and then we're actually right in front of an oil refinery plant here. I did notice a couple of oil wells as we were driving through the suburbs of Denver. I was surprised by that. And then there was another irony today when we were driving through that area that had all of the wind turbines. There were a couple of oil wells there too, so that was a little bit surprising. Clean energy and not so clean energy. Anyway, there is Denver in the distance, and we will continue on our merry little way through Colorado. We are still in Colorado, and it is looking like the Great Plains right now. So flat for the most part, rolling hills, lots of wind turbines in the distance, but definitely very rural and lots of agriculture happening here too. Anyway, this is Colorado. I was thinking we were going through New Mexico, but I think actually we're touching Oklahoma and then into Texas today. So when I looked at the map, it looked a little different than when I mapped it out on my iPad. Anyway, this is current view, heading southeast actually. We are just at a rest station in Colorado. There haven't been many of these actually, and interesting landforms behind me. I think they're called butts. So something about 2 butts, so I think maybe that's them. Anyway, we are just stopping for a quick rest. I am going to switch spots with Greg, so I'll drive for a little bit. Loud trucks going by, which means that when we cross into the next state, which will be Oklahoma, I probably won't be able to capture that on camera because I'll be driving, and cameraing and driving, not a good mix. Anyway, we are going to just stretch our legs for a little bit and then get back on the road. When we have signs like this, Greg always stops and reads the signs and then tells me afterwards what they say because, I don't know, I don't have the patience for it. But that's where I learn everything. Greg reads the sign and then he tells me and I learn everything. So keep reading, Greg. There is a porta potty station right there, but I'm too much of a princess. I'm a potty princess. I don't do porta potties, and thankfully I don't have to go too badly. Anyway, just want to show you the landscape here before I take over the next stage of driving. We're going to pass some windmills, lots of windmills around, and the road ahead. I was reading these aren't called butts. There is a state park called Two Butt State Park. It's a wildlife reserve, and but these are interesting land formations that I thought I would share. We are just near the southern Colorado border. We've just gone through a town called Campo, and we're in the national grasslands. I can't remember the name of the national grasslands, but over on the side to my left, so Greg's going to point the camera to the left, there are a bunch of, I don't know if they're gopher holes, but there's little bits of piles of dirt that, oh, this was the Comanche. We talked about this. That was what it's called. What did you say? It was, you thought it was Comanche, and I thought it was Comanche. Right, Greg? This is the Comanche National Grasslands, or you called it Comanche because that's what did you say about it?
That's what John Wayne calls it.
That's what John Wayne calls it. I don't know if you can see the little piles of dirt. And then there was a sign that said something about prairie chickens. And I want to see what prairie chickens look like. But we are at, I'm calling it the Comanche, but it's probably Comanche, like Greg says, grasslands. And we are coming up on the border ahead of us. Greg's going to be really violent with that. He's moving it real fast, that camera. Anyway, we are still in Colorado, but when we do cross the state line, not only are we crossing the state line into Oklahoma, we are changing time zones. So we are going from mountain time to central time. So we will be an hour ahead. So currently it's 1:37 p.m. and in a few minutes it'll be 2:30, 2:40 something, and we will be an hour closer to our destination by default, which isn't a bad thing. Okay, we are coming up on the state line, and I'm not sure if there's a welcome sign or not, but we are just driving around the corner, and I can see on my navigation screen that we are about to cross the state line. It's 1:41, and in a moment, as I said, it will be 2:40 something. So I think the other side of the traffic is getting the welcome signs to Colorado. We're getting the see you later from Colorado, and over to our right is a welcome to Oklahoma sign. It's got a little star on it, and the road changes in Oklahoma. We are now in Oklahoma. Welcome. Oh, look at the scenery, right? It's grasslands too, and not that we're now entering Central Time Zone. So it's now 2:41 p.m. and we're an hour closer to our destination. Yay! So we have just gotten into Texas, and here's the sign, welcome to Texas. So welcome to Texas. We've got some rail cars to the sides and lots of farmland as well. So speed limit 75. We've just stopped for gas, and it's a bit loud because I've got the windows undone. I wanted to share with you where we've been. So we were up on page 96, but we took this route down through Colorado, and then we went down across through Oklahoma. So this little section here was our time in Oklahoma. So there's not a lot of footage from Oklahoma because we were there for just a short time. We are now going to continue down this road to here, Amarillo. Can anybody see Route 66 on there? Can you find it for me? Greg says Route 66 is not a real thing. I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I guess we'll find out today when we get to Amarillo. Here we are driving through Texas, lots of ranches. I have to share, one of my favorite memes that I've seen this summer is about Kate Bush being #1 on the charts and Top Gun being re-released. And with the past couple of years with the pandemic, there's a meme that says basically, if Bobby Ewing steps out of the shower, we won't be surprised. The last many years will have been a dream. Anyway, this is Texas, and I saw one oil well, just a small one, and right now lots of farming. I don't know if that's there's a couple things in the distance there. They might be small oil wells, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. Anyway, it's very green. It is 32 degrees Celsius, so very warm, and I'm wearing pants today, but we've been in the air-conditioned car, so that's not too bad. Just when you get out, you're hit with that sudden heat. I do not mind it. Here is an oil well just off the side of the road here. Texas gets a bad rap for oil, but if you look in the distance, they are also doing some wind power as well. Been a lot of wind power happening this day and yesterday as well. Anyway, continuing along, I've seen a couple of oil wells as I pan across. There's another one there, and over to my right there are a couple in this field too, in amongst the corn, and right along the train line. As we approach Amarillo, I just thought I would show you a quick minutes away from our location for the night. And just that I would show you this hilly area of northwestern Texas. We are currently on Amarillo Boulevard, and Greg said he saw a sign that said this is Old 66. So we're going to turn right here though, which means we'll be going off of Route 66 because that's what she told us to do. It is evening in Amarillo, Texas, and I'm on the lookout for old Route 66 signs. Here's a Route 66 gas station. We're turning left here. And I think we're going on the interstate. We're not actually going on Amarillo Drive. That is the issue. Anyway, there was a Route 66 sign, but it was just a gas station. Not so exciting. I hope that you enjoyed all of the different landscapes. They are so varied and lots of little surprises for us as we drove. It's amazing how vast North America is, and how much land there is out there, and how many different landscapes. Every time I had a hard time putting the camera down, because every time I put the camera away I'd look again and the landscape looked a little different. Next time we will hopefully go from Texas to Florida. I have a little mini podcast in there too, but that'll be saved for another Vlogtober day. Have a wonderful day, and tomorrow I will see you for day 5 of Vlogtober. Bye. One of the things that really made me laugh today while I was editing the video was the comment about Route 66, Greg thinking it was a made-up thing. Meanwhile, the clip before, at the very top in the left-hand corner, it says Historic Route 66. And I mustn't have had my glasses on because I didn't see it, but it goes through St. Louis, down through Missouri. Oklahoma City is mighty pretty. You see Amarillo. Gallup, New Mexico. We never did make it to New Mexico. But yeah, Route 66, it's a real thing, or it was.